Hey, this is Kurt Isles, come to you from the Creek Bank. We're sitting on the dog trot porch at the old house, Dry Creek, Louisiana. I'm in a red rocking chair. I got my friend Bandit with me. Got a good story to tell you about in a minute. Now, Bandit stars in several stories and where I come from. If you read the story Earthshine, Sleeping on the Ground, A Broken Cup, but he's the star of a story named Roy and Loki. And I'm going to be honest with you, when I wrote this story, where Bandit's the chief character, I got tears in my eyes, maybe more than that. And as people read the book and read the story of Roy and Loki, they just really are moved by it. So you'll enjoy it. But the story I have today, it's just a story that just happened not long ago. And I'm calling it Bandit Take the Wheel. Now, let me tell you, before I tell you the story, tell you a little about Bandit. Bandit's a pound dog. We got him just before they were going to do away with him at the Alexander Pound. So he feels real special about me because I rescued him. I remind him sometimes that I kept him. But let me tell you what he did for me. During some dark, dark days of depression in my life, he sat by me. He didn't leave me. He was there for me. And you don't ever forget people that stick by you during tough times. So he and I, we kind of have a mutual admiration society. The story I want to tell you today, the reason I need to have Bandit with me is you got to see this dog to really appreciate this story. I call it Bandit Take the Wheel. Now, I drive a lot of times between Alexander, where I live, and my mom's house. It's about 65 miles from my house to the end of Clayton Isles Road. And usually drive it once a week. And this particular day I was driving a couple months ago, I just got sleepy. And when you get sleepy, best thing to do is pull off the road. Sometimes you pull off the road and walk around a little. Sometimes get you a cup of coffee, but there wasn't any way to get a cup of coffee. And so I pulled through the little village of McNary. Now, you got to understand McNary to really appreciate this story. McNary is a village. They have a little town hall. They have one police car. I think they have one policeman. I don't think they have two. But McNary is very, very small. It was a lumber town at one time. It had 3,000 people. When they closed it down, it dwindled down to nothing. And they moved the sawmill and most of the town to Arizona and named the town in Arizona McNary. Well, McNary, Louisiana is very, very small. And those of us driving between Ellick and Pitkin and Dry Creek, we use what's called the McNary Cutoff. It's about a mile and a half cutoff. It saves you from going through the big town of Glenmore and a red light there. Well, that day I was really sleepy. I turned down the McNary Cutoff and I said, I've just got to pull off and rest. Which so happens they have what's called the McNary Public Park that's on the cutoff road. And so I wheeled my truck in there and I kind of got in the shade, pulled off the pavement, kind of got in the grass, got in the shade, rolled my windows down. I want to tell you something about me. If I can get lean back and put my cap over my face, I call it a cap nap. I didn't say cat nap. I call it a cap nap. And if I can get lean back, my cap over my eyes, I've slept on airport floors. I've slept on the floors of huts. And if I can in my truck get lean back, the only problem is the driver's side doesn't lean back. So I had to come around to the passenger side where Bandit was sitting on the seat. Now, Bandit travels with me anywhere I go, but especially when I go to Dry Creek. I don't ever go to Dry Creek without Bandit. He looks like a lap dog here, but I'm going to tell you something. This is a country dog right here. When he gets here, gets loose, he has a good time. Anyway, Bandit was with me, and so to take my nap in the passenger side, leaning the seat back, I had to push Bandit over on the driver's side. So get this picture. He's sitting up on his haunches on the seat right behind the steering wheel, sitting there. I lean my seat back, put my cap over my eyes, and I'm out. Usually I'll take a 10, 15-minute nap. I'll wake up ready to go. And I was doing pretty good when all of a sudden somebody beat on the side of my truck. And I pulled my cap up and looked, and leaning in the door side of my driver's side where my window was down was a policeman. And he said, "What you doing here?" And he was looking right over Bandit, who Bandit was kind of sitting there at the steering wheel. For just a second, I wondered who he was talking to, Bandit or me. It's pretty clear he was talking to me. what you doing here? I said, well, I got sleepy. Had to pull over. He said, that's a good thing, but you got to move your truck. We're fixing a bush hog in here. I said, no problem. Then he started giving me kind of the fifth degree. You got to remember back in there, he was pretty tight society. He said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Dry Creek to see my mama. Where are you from? I said, I'm from Alexandria. And we talked a little. He told me his last name. He had a good Gardner, Glenmore last name. We talked about some things. And the whole time we're talking, Bandit is sitting here right behind the wheel of the truck, just like he's fixing to drive off. And so I call it Bandit Take the Wheel. And it's just a good story about, it seems like to me, everything in the world happens to me. My wife says, how all these things happen to you? And I say, but they just happen. And here's the difference between me and most people. I tell about them. There's nothing more fun to make up than yourself. So I hope you enjoyed Bandit Take the Wheel. This story will be in my next short story book, A Love of the Land. I guarantee it's going to be in there, Bandit Take the Wheel. And that book will come out sometimes late in the fall of 225. I'll be talking to you about some other books I'm working on between now and then. I'm going to have 3 books that come out in 225. One's going to come out in late spring, one in late summer, and then the big one, The Love of the Land, which is a follow-up book to Where I Come From, will come out late fall. We'll talk some more about that. Well, I'm sitting in the red rocking chair at the old house. Beautiful evening. I've enjoyed being here. I've enjoyed talking to you. And remember this, we'll always leave the screen door and latch just for you.